Wednesday, the 24th of January on the calendar. Welcome everyone to the program. This is your Business Morning. I am Bosun Namafai. So what's the way out? According to President Obasanjo, the two-time president issues a special press statement yesterday on the state of the nation. The first of such public statements since the Buhari's administration came on board on the May 29, 2015. President Obasanjo, in very lengthy letter, which is characteristics of him anyway, issued what he called a list of poor performance of the current administration and the economy in general. He spoke about poverty, insecurity, poor economic management, nepotism, gross dereliction of duty, what he called condonation of misdeeds, lack of progress and hope for the future, lack of national cohesion, poor management of internal political dynamics and widening inequality. That looks like a basket of what the country currently looks like. But the former president has a few words on the state of the economy. And quoting him, he says, President Buhari is weak in the knowledge and understanding of the economy. But I thought that he could make use of good Nigerians in that area that could help. That was according to the president. He said he knew that President Buhari was weak in the areas of the knowledge and understanding of the economy. The former president went on to say, and quote, you cannot give what you don't have. An economy does not obey military order. You have to give it what it takes in the short, medium, and long term. The letter went on to say that blaming the governor of the central bank for devaluation of the naira by 70% or so and blaming past governments for it is, to say the least, not accepting one's own responsibility. President Obasanjo says that let nobody deceive us. Economy feeds on politics, and because our politics is depressing, our economy is even more depressing today. And I found that the heart of the entire long letter. The former president, two-time president, says, our constitution is very clear. One of the cardinal responsibilities of the president is the management of the economy, of which the value of the naira forms an integral part. A very interesting letter. Let's go to the state of the market and the state of the nation and the state of the economy with Ike Chioke, who is the Group Chief Executive Officer at Afrinvest. Good morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning.
The first handshake in 2018. we have a lot to talk about, but I think the best way to start is to look at this former president's letter, and I'm going to not taking you through the political side of it, but he talked about the economy and what we need to run the state of the economy.
Correct.
What's your first word?
I read a letter too. I read President Obasanjo's document in full, all of 20 pages of it yesterday, and I think he hit the nail on the head. Indeed, the president has at his disposal the opportunity to enlist very talented Nigerians to help him with managing the economy. But if there's any mistake or if there's any error that comes out of it, the president actually is the one that takes both the glory as well as the damage that comes from that result.
The former president says, economy feeds on politics.
Correct.
And because our politics is depressing, our economy is even more depressing today. That's taking the economy to everything here, or politics, as it were.
Well, to be fair, the economy is actually recovered quite nicely from the very depressing recession we entered into in 2016. And 2017 was a year of recovery. And indeed, if you look at all the economic managers, both from the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, to the economic management team at the presidency, they've done a sterling job in pulling the economy from the brinks of that recession back into growth. If you recall, in 2016, we had a negative GDP growth of minus 1.6%. 2017, we're estimating that given the 3 positive quarters of growth, we'll end the year at about 0.7% GDP growth. And into 2018, we're forecasting 2.1% GDP growth. So indeed, the economy has come out of the recession. But the point of depressing could be the illusion that if your population is growing around 3 to 4% per year, then you need to actually be doubling that in terms of the growth of GDP. Once upon a time, if you recall, Nigeria used to grow around 6 to 7% GDP growth per annum. But these days, we are all eager to applaud ourselves when we get to 1 percentage point. So there is still a lot of work to do to get our economic engine to be, moving ahead as it should be.
So we're going to go back to your first comment and the former president when he talked about making good use of good Nigerians in the area of the economy. Correct. What would you like to see moving forward from where we are right now in terms of economic management team that the Buhari's administration need to have in place for the remainder of his tenure in office?
Well, the point I'd like to make is that you should never waste an economic recession when it happens. And unfortunately, some of the major reforms that could have been done when we were in recession didn't quite happen. Of course, we saw the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, and it has these ambitious goals about things it wants to achieve under sort of 5 pillars. The first being achieving macroeconomic stability. But further down, there are issues around reforming the power sector, reforming the oil and gas sector. These are critical areas that can, unleash that engine of growth in Nigeria. But where we are today, we actually have the economy growing, and we have a combination of a confluence of positive things that are happening. Some we did achieve by ourselves, others were just accidental. Take, for instance, the central bank introduced the investors and exporters window in April last year. From that moment on, we saw a stabilization of the naira to the dollar. You didn't have the massive fluctuations we were seeing before. We went from 520 naira to the dollar in the parallel market to now 363, making the naira appreciate about 35% in the course of the year. And investors took that signal and came in and speaking with their money. The CBN intervened in the markets by the tune of about $15.4 billion last year. But at the same time, the I&E window traded about $28 billion. That shows you that investors were much more encouraged by the fact that you had a transparent and open platform for them to bring in their money and take it out. So that is positive. And that was done by our economic management team. But if you look at the oil price environment, we are not really the one dictating the price of oil. But oil price has been benevolent to us. Once upon a time, we were in the $30 per barrel region, struggling to balance our current account balances. Today, we have a budget benchmark of $45 and oil is trading around 70. So we have this positive accretion that will go into the excess crude account. It allows the government to plan knowing there's a buffer, and then we can move forward. Now, all that additional buffer, this is a good time where the confluence of this positive effect, you've got the rising external reserves. We have $40 billion. You've got influx of dollars coming in from foreign portfolio investors. You've got the capital markets responding. It was up 42% last year. It's up already over 17% this year.